Minister, I have received representations regarding carers allowance for individuals of children with disability, particularly from single parents, and it's about this that I would like to speak this evening. Single parents of children with disability who have been unsuccessful in their applications for carers allowance. Caring for a child with a disability or that's classified as having a severe or profound disability is a 24/7 job. Caring for a child with a high level of care needs become significantly more difficult if you are a single parent. Single mothers and fathers caring for their children still have their mortgages or their rent due, utility bills to pay, clothing and shoes to look after, and all of the other essential needs that every family and child has growing up. A parent of a child with a disability that does not qualify for a medical card or has had a medical card removed must also look after the trips to the doctor, the special orthotic shoes, the additional therapies, the accessibility-friendly vehicle, and indeed paying minders and carers to come in while they go to work. These parents must also cope with the same stresses as other parents and carers. I'm aware that single parents can avail of certain payments aside from the carers to assist them. In our system, we certainly need to do a better job across many of the payments in looking at the broader picture for parents and families. And I would ask the Minister to consider that a single parent carer of a child with a disability has a completely or a significantly different situation to that of a couple's applying for carers allowance. And if I could, I would just like to make reference to one particular representation that I've got of a single mother with a child who is in the severe profound category and who has been refused carers allowance on a number of occasions and has had to appeal it. And I can totally see her point where she feels that she has been victimised for going out to work, for trying to do her daily work and to care for her son. But the costs that she has, and her argument would be that, if there was a partner in the house, the bills would be shared, the mortgage would be shared, everything would be shared. But she has all of the bills, all of the mortgage, everything to pay, plus the additional costs of caring for her son with a disability that is incurring costs that a child without a disability wouldn't have. So, I would just ask that the Minister would take on board the additional, the additional care and the additional costs that single parents have, and that this would be taken into consideration when they're applying for carers allowance.
Thank you, Senator Moran. Minister Perry.
Just on that particular case, if you want to see me the detail, I can send it over to the Minister directly with having raised the particular file that you referred to, right? Take this adjournment debate on behalf of the Minister for Social Protection, Deputy Joan Burton, who conveys her apologies to the Senator for being unable to be present to reply in person. I should say at the outset that the Government acknowledges the crucial role carers play in society, and I welcome the opportunity to outline to the Shannon the range of supports available to carers in the Department of Social Protection. Firstly, the National Carers Strategy signals the Government's commitment to recognising and respecting carers as key care partners and to responding to their needs across a number of policy areas by setting out a vision to work towards and an ambition set of national goals and objectives to guide policy developments and service delivery. The strategy seeks to ensure that carers feel valued and supported to manage their caring responsibilities with confidence and are empowered to have a life of their own outside of caring. Acknowledgement of the key role played by carers is reflected in a range of significant supports provided by the Department of Social Protection to support carers in their caring role and certainly to work out, ameliorate the financial burden of caring. Indeed, the income supports that carers receive from the Department are among the highest rates in Europe. Carers allowance is the principal means-based income support payments for people who provide full-time care and attention for certain older people or being with a disability. But there are, as we've seen in the recent elections, there are people who just escape this net, but that's where we've got to deal very clearly with, where there are exceptions. And there are exceptions everywhere. So I think that's what I'm saying, with your exceptional case that you are aware of. I mean, I'd be very happy to, as I said initially, and that's where I think that the challenge for government is to ensure to have 100% perfection is quite difficult, but obviously where there are exceptions, I think it should be looked at, and the Minister no doubt will look at this case. Persons who are in receipt of this allowance also receive the the respite care grant of £1,375, the household benefits package and free travel pass. While a child under the age of 16 requires a full-time care and attention, a domiciliary care allowance of £309.50 per month must be paid to the parent or guardian. This payment is not means tested and is to provide for the additional costs involved in providing care and supervision that is substantially more than normally needed by a child of the same age, and the parent may also be in receipt of the carer's allowance. People in receipt of social welfare payment other than carer's allowance or benefits who are also providing someone with full-time care and attention can retain their main welfare payment and receive a half carer's allowance. Similarly, people currently in receipt of carer's allowance who may have an underlying eligibility for another social welfare payment can transfer to that other payment and continue to receive up to half the carer's rate allowance. The estimated expenditure on carers in the Department of Social Protection is almost 806 million, 557.2 million on carers allowance, 21.5 million on carers benefit, and 22 million on respite care grants, and 105 million, 0.1 million on domiciliary care allowance. The Department is guided by the strategic direction of the National Care Strategy and is committed to the goals and specific objectives identified in the strategy. The strategy recognises that the financial resources available to the government during the lifetime of the strategy will reduce, and this will mean focusing expenditure on those who need it most and who will benefit most from the services and supports. In framing budgetary adjustments, the primary concern has been in protecting primary social welfare rates, and against the backdrop, I'm pleased that in the budget 2014, the core rates of payments available to carers were maintained, as were payments made in addition to other social welfare payments, such as the half carers rate allowance. So just in conclusion, to say that where there are the exceptions and the derogations, and it's a very complicated mechanism of payments with the entitlements and eligibilities and switching from one payment to another payment. I think that just getting all the information and just going into the principal, going into the welfare department and going through the actual just how best the person can avail of the payments can be very worthwhile as well.
Yeah.
Thanks, Minister. And final words, Senator Moore.
Briefly, thank you, Lascar. I agree with you, but I do think that perhaps there's an area there where we need to look at people who might just as you say, might just slip out of the net for the carers benefit, but that additional recognition should be given to parents, single parents of children with a disability in their applications for carers allowance. And as I said, when I speak about this particular case, it's like there's no incentive to go out to work, and that's what I would be afraid of, that perhaps people who are just outside this net would say, well, look, if I don't work, I can stay at home and get carers allowance and maybe get more benefits, where what we want to do is we want to get people out to work and encourage them out to work, to go, to stay at work, but that, they just need that little bit of assistance there, that, if it could be looked at.
I think the Senator has raised a very valid point. It's just about getting people back working. It's very good for the person themselves to get out of the home to get working, and the fact that they're incentivised to get out, I think it's a very valid point, and where the fact that it would give them the quality of life, the fact that they have somebody with disability, I think it would complement the quality of life for both parent and child. Yeah. So that I think it's something that is a huge, if that anomaly does exist, we submit file on this, and I will raise a person with Minister Burton as well, because I think that we're all in about getting people back to work, where people should be, especially single parents, if they're at a disadvantage in this situation. I think there should be a special derogation given where it's justifiably reasons for health and well-being of the person and the child to go work, and it should be well looked at. And I think that is something that I'd like to raise that point, something that I would be put in support of.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Senator Moore.